Welcome to Parent Squad. I'm Felicia Lawrence. The warm weather is here, and that means fun in the sun and on the water. But we know it can also mean danger. Statistics show drowning is the leading cause of unintentional injury or death for children ages 1 to 4. And then the second leading cause for children ages 5 to 14. So here to talk water safety is Grayson Purtlebaugh, a prevention education specialist for Prevent Child Abuse Indiana. Thank you for being here. I mean, we know it only takes a split second and it only takes 2 inches of water for things to look different for a child and for your family. So it's just so important that we raise awareness around this. For this issue, you have Eyes on the Water campaign. Can you tell us about that campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. So Eyes on the Child is a national campaign, a part of Child Abuse America, which is kind of our parent organization for PCAIN and Prevent Child Abuse Indiana. And so that really promotes active supervision for children in regards to internet safety and also to water safety. So making sure we're actively supervising what kids are doing online, as well as if kids are around any type of body of water. Like you mentioned, it only takes a couple of inches for there, only a couple of inches of water for there to be some sort of injury or drowning risk. And so it really promotes that active supervision piece for children.
Yes, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, of course, watch your kids, duh. But we're talking about active supervision. So what are some of the things you see when you have some of these emergencies, some of these unfortunate events? Maybe it was people who you think you're watching, but then all of a sudden your phone rings or you fall asleep or you might be having a drink or two. What are some of the things that you're concerned about with parents doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we see that most, not all, but most drowning related deaths and injuries for children are when adults were around and claimed to be supervising or thought that they were supervising, but it turns out that they weren't actively supervising, so that active piece. And so we really want to make sure that adults, if they are supervising those children at that time, that they have their eyes on those children at all times. They know exactly which children they're in charge of watching in that moment. They are not consuming alcohol or other substances. They are not having side conversations and looking away from the pool or the body of water multiple times, and they're not scrolling on their phone. So again, that active supervision piece.
Absolutely. Okay, to help us do that, they have a Water Watcher badge. So show us the badge and then show us how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is what it looks like. It's a little card. It comes on a bright orange lanyard. And so we provide these at PCAIN. If you go to our website, pcain.org, we ship these out to folks free of charge. And what it is one adult will put this on, whether they be at a pool party or around any body of water. An adult will designate themselves as the water watcher. They will put this badge on, and it has the literal directions on the badge to remind that adult in that moment that they're to be actively supervising, not on their phone, not consuming alcohol, but they're actively watching that child or children. And so they wear it for about 15 minutes is what we recommend, and then they pass on that water watcher responsibility to another adult. So it really ensures that that adult is very aware in that moment that they are the water watcher, as well as to everyone else around them that there is a water watcher designated. And so it's just a really great way, an additional safety piece there to make sure that adults are actively supervising and they have that constant reminder that they need to be watching the child at all times.
I absolutely love it because you already mentioned a lot of these incidents happen when you're gathered around a crowd, a bunch of friends and family who might be over. And so you think what could happen with all these eyes here, all these adults here. So to designate a person and really put that responsibility and accountability and that everyone else knows. I do think it's interesting too that you're saying 15 minutes versus 30 minutes, or here's your hour, somebody jump on the next hour. Is there a thought process behind the 15 minutes? You find that shorter time is better?
Yeah, we find it that in that 15-minute time range is a little bit easier for folks to not be scrolling on their phone, or just to make sure that they have that active supervision, because we know having that active supervision for 30 minutes for an hour can be a pretty long time for some folks. And so if there are other responsible or trusted adults there that can help pass on that water watcher responsibility, we recommend that folks pass it on every 15 minutes or so.
There you go. And we kind of touched on it already, just the biggest risks to watch out for near water. We know it really can only take 2 inches to make a difference. So are there some other ones that stand out to you that you want people to know?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to be safe and supervising around water, not just in the summertime, but all year round. Because it's not just the beaches or the pools that can be a risk, but like you mentioned, it takes just a couple of inches of water. So that could be a bathtub in a home, that could be a tub of water, or a container of water maybe in the backyard. Maybe we were playing with water in the backyard. And so we really want to be very aware and prevalent all year round that there is always a risk when it comes to water. And especially when we're looking out for those signs of drowning, drowning can happen very quickly within 30 seconds. It also is usually silent. And so we want to make sure that we are, again, actively supervising, because we may not notice it if we're just not really keeping our eyes on the water in that moment.
Yeah, that's a good point, that it's usually silent. You think you would hear screams. If you're hearing screams, it might be too late already. We know pools and lakes are very different environments. So how does that change how we should be watching our kids?
Yeah, absolutely. For pools, we recommend, especially if it's a pool in someone's backyard or in a home, that there is a gate and a lock on it, that parents and families consider having pool alarms, that they make sure that if that pool has that cover on it, that that cover is secured properly, and so that there's no risk of a child potentially accessing that water, falling in when no one's around. We also want to make sure that there's no toys or anything left in the pool that would attract a child to find themselves walking into that water, into that pool. Also to make sure that that water is completely visible from the top, so that there's nothing covering or hindering anything that might be underneath that water.
Okay.
And for open water, we really want to recommend that we're swimming in areas that have some sort of lifeguard, or someone that is trained and consistently watching the water, even though we still want to have that active supervision piece, even if there is a lifeguard. We also want to recommend that folks use life jackets, and make sure that they're using the life jackets that are U.S. Coast Guard approved. So making sure that it fits the child properly, that it's snug but not too tight, and that they're checking the U.S. Coast Guard website to make sure what is deemed an appropriate life jacket for that child. And we also recommend the buddy system, so making sure that child's not alone in an open body of water.
Yes, it's so important to really teach water safety from a young age, and hopefully they carry that with them beyond. I mean, think about your teens being at home near the pool. Maybe they already know how to swim, but we know accidents happen all the time. Danger can be lurking anywhere, even for the most talented swimmer. Obviously, we are talking about kids, but parents too need to be water aware, because it can happen to adults too. They always recommend that you don't swim alone. I think that's really good advice, no matter the age. All right, so for more tips, we have a link to the Eyes on the Child campaign at WTHR.com/Parent Squad. Grayson, thank you for being here. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.